that you can go and meet your friends and your stuff. Cities. But our capital cities are much, much more than that. We like to call them living cities. These are places that start kind of run down and poor as you start the game. And as your realm does well, as you do well, your city actually does well. It changes from poor to prosperous as you play through the game. So, where you might go into the city at the beginning of the game, and it's kind of small, and it's kind of dingy, and there's not too many quests to do, and there's no cool dungeons in it, as you progress through the game, you're actually unlocking new things in your city for your entire realm. The city opens up new areas like the Bright Wizard College, or the crypts underneath the Temple of Sigmar. You get new quests, new public quests, new places to go, new things to do, new monsters to kill, new loot. The cities actually grow and change with you. They become the jewel in your crown, the center point and the foundation for your realm pride.
You need to build up the city and make it worthy of his arrival. But once the Emperor arrives, you'll be able to get an audience with Karl Franz directly. And this is one of those really cool things, where players, again, who have been reading the books and playing the game and painting Karl Franz miniatures obsessively for years and years, can now actually go and interact with this character. And those are still that unlock narrative chains that sort of... Player monuments is something that we really actually are very excited about.
Let me touch for just a second. Something that is so unique to our game and something that we really believe in strongly as far as building the community. So go ahead, Josh.
So traditionally speaking, the way that you kind of know who the best players in the game are is by them sort of shooting their mouth and being here. We actually shoot our mouth for them. We erect huge individual players who have achieved great things in the game. So if you have, and this will be a place that you can go to and say, check me out, I'm super awesome. All the things that you would find in Altdorf, you find in a sort of corrupt and weird way in the city.
Right.
So we're just going to run through some of those really tricky parallels. So here's the city square in Altdorf. Here's the square in the inevitable city. Obviously you have Chaos Warp in the background, sort of saving and so forth. You've got huge amounts of energy, whereas you might have a card vendor in Altdorf. You go to a guy that's got a dude chained to a table, and he's like, need some food? Tea for tea. And so, as you move through all the things that you would find in Altdorf, you find the inevitable city in a twisted sort of way. So, for example, if we had the Imperial Palace in Altdorf, you'll have Charzanic's Tower.
How do you say that again?
Charzanic.
Say it again?
Charzanic.
Good.
The apostrophe is important. And again, Charzanic is a chaos champion. The chaos god that we focus on in our game is Tzeentch, the Lord of Change, but his sort of manifest representative on the mound is Charzanic. So that's an imperial, a huge chaos champion to get to eventually quest on behalf of as a member of destruction, or fight your way into the inevitable city, fight and kill as a member of order.
Awesome.
So that's his crazy cower in the back. I'm like, oh, I love this shot. Can we just sit in silence? It's pretty cool. Stare at pretty stuff. Okay, moving on. The pit is one of the sort of unique locations within the inevitable city, where really the forces of chaos are barely controlled at a time. So we've kind of built a thing in here where as a member of Action Destruction, you can just kind of roll down into the pit and challenge some of your brethren to a fight. You can just pick a fight with the Beastman, punch him in the face a few times, stab him in the gut, go down with other players and fight them, things of that sort. That also makes this an extremely dangerous thing that's just sitting in the middle of the city, because it should be dangerous. You should be able to fall off the side and explode. You should be able to come down here and have a Beastman eat your face. Things of that sort. There's chaos giants just sort of sitting around.
What about as an invader?
As an invader, you also have a giant pit full of beastmen, chaos giants, exploding faces, and terrible things. So there are interesting, cool, random things that show up in the inevitable city. And again, facilities. It's a very boring word for a very important thing for an MMO. We have to offer you all the same basic things that you've got in Altdorf: banks, auction houses, vendors, stuff like that. But we want to do it in a way that sort of is evocative and chaotic. So this is what a Chaos Bank looks like. Now, this is an in-process version of this. The eventual version is going to have crazy souls flying up out of the ground. It's the voice of the soul. I'm playing all of the souls in the game. And so this is sort of Chaos Bank, which is a cool enough place to visit, but you really want to go to the auction hall. The auction hall is this crazy sort of like barbecue pit gone terribly wrong. It's a little bit like this, where you've got spikes everywhere and holes to fall down into and piles of things that are burning that have faces. There are tables along the side that Jeff made me cut out the close-up shot of because the basements are human faces. Things like that. So again, the idea here is there are 3 dark gods. So within the inevitable city, there are...
this is my favorite.
There are wings of the city dedicated to the other chaos gods. This kind of bulbous and statues of ladies touching things like that. This is the wing baby. They're back there in a little white thing. That's them, see?
What area is this?
Sort of the god of decadence, sort of eroticism, things are good. Let's move on. Oh, I skipped through. I forgot that it's all part of. All right, pretend that I didn't do that. Going right through. It's going to go on quests on behalf of Corn. Skulls for the Skull Throne. Jeff actually has a skull throne that he sits in backstage. That's what he was sitting on before, just throwing things at me, going, "Don't say naughty words in the middle of the presentation, or I'll fire you." So again, we wanted to make sure that all the things
out and against your enemy. And they're thematically based upon your race, like the Oracle cult. Each race has specific types of battering rams. So where a dwarf might have a big battering ram with a cool metal sheath on the end that he can ram into the doors, he doesn't have a battering ram. They might just wait and whip him while he beats the door down for them. These pieces of siege equipment are not only usable on, but they're actually usable on capital cities also. As we said earlier, your capital cities become the thing that your players want. This is actually destruction players running through the streets of Altdorf after they have brought their siege engines to bear against Altdorf itself, knocking down the gates of Altdorf, running through the streets,
burning things
to the ground, kicking open the doors to the good guys' houses, stealing everything they have, killing the apple vendor, robbing the banks, desecrating the Temple of Sigmar that you saw
cutting
earlier.
Jeff's statue's head off.
All of the things you work so hard for, all of the things that you get from leveling up your city, all of those cool quests, all the cool areas that you now have access to, your enemy is able to partake in that now. He's able to come in and go to the crypts where the ghosts are at underneath Sigmar Temple, go down into the Skaven tunnels. He's able to participate in the public quests that you worked so hard to open up. He's able to take everything from you, make it his own. He's actually able to take the fight into the very castle of Emperor Karl Franz and fight in a grand and epic, glorious battle for domination of the world.
Then stand on the battlements and go,
We won. It's good.